Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celebrating Black Excellence. I'm your digital host, Carlton T. Clay. You've seen him on Black Lightning, Wu-Tang, American Saga, and most recently, BMF. I present to you Jason C. Louder. How you doing today, Jason?
Man, I'm blessed, brother. I'm grateful to be alive, and I'm grateful to be here spending some time with you all, Carlton. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here on Celebrating Black Excellence. We definitely appreciate you. Congratulations on all the great things that you have going on, man. It's truly a blessing to see you shine on the screen. Can you please tell us about your humble beginnings? How did you get started with acting?
Yeah, so to make a short story long, acting found me. It found me in 2009. And so I was teaching at a private school. Shout out to Imhotep Academy, beautiful Black African-centered school here in Atlanta, Georgia. But I was teaching and coaching soccer. And one of my homeboys, he called me. Actually, we were in the same rap group. We were in a rap group. So I used to be in a rap group back in the day called Unknown Seeds.
Okay.
And I was the hype man. So I would always come with the energy, I had some bars too, but I was always bringing the energy or whatever. So he hit me up and he was like, "Hey man, you should go to this audition." And I was like, "Audition for what?" He was like, "For this play at Georgia State." And I was like, "A play to do what?" He was like, "Yo, you should. Yeah, you said I think you could act." And I was like, I don't know, man. I mean, we had dibbled and dabbled with some stuff before. We actually did a stage play about our lives as a rap group, but that was us being us. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it hadn't crossed my mind. So I said, you know what? I'm not doing anything. I'll go to the audition. Man, I went to the audition, man, and the lady, she was like, "Here's your sides," and I was like, "What am I supposed to do?" She was like, you green. Oh, you green. You don't know you." And I was like, "No, don't do that." And so she was like, "Well, listen, just go over the side. The sides are what you're giving for an audition. You have to read that as a part of the script, right?" So she gave me the sides. I went over the sides, and then she called me in. When I went in with the director, we started reading like with each other back and forth, and it was like, oh my God, this is powerful. This is amazing. So and the next director said, "Hey, can you read mine?" And I was like, "Yeah." I read hers. Same thing happened. The next director said, "Can you read mine? But can you use a Jamaican accent?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so did that. And then later on that evening, the department chair, rest in soul, her name is Dr. Charlene Holmes. She called me and she said, "Hey, Jason Louder, I want to let you know that you've been cast in 6 of the pieces, but because you've never acted before, that would be a disservice to you. So I'm going to allow you to choose 2." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And so I chose 2. One of them was called Our Liberated Justice, directed by Dr. Asantewa Suni Ali. It was about the Black Panthers. It was about her family, actually, and her mom and dad. And so the other one was called Salam. It was about a Muslim terrorist. And when I performed those 2 pieces, man, it was like my life. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to act. And so juggling acting and teaching at the same time was like, okay, I gotta go to. I'm teaching during the daytime, and even sometimes I might have to have auditions, and they would cover for me. They would always make sure that they would support me. My students would help me learn my lines. So it was just like this beautiful synergy that had happened once I said yes, and once I opened myself up to the possibility of pursuing this thing, and then in 2016, they called me to the office and were like, "Hey, we're not going to be able to renew your contract because you missed 50." I missed a bunch of days of school, man, because I was working on different projects. And so they were like, "We want you to pursue we want you to pursue your dream. Like this is something that you really love." And I was like, "Well, can you have?" I asked the principal there, Miss Jackson. I said, "Miss Jackson, can you have 2 things that you love, 2 passions?" She said, "You can have way more than 2 passions. And teaching is one you love, and acting is another one. And we want you to go and pursue the acting." And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I had no choice because I was like, well, maybe I could teach part-time, or maybe I could come in 3 days a week. She was like, no, go. And that push, it forced me to really just go all the way in. And I went all the way in, literally and figuratively, Carlton. I mean, I was taking everybody's acting class. I said, let me train. If I'm going to do this seriously, I need to study. Because
Right.
I can't just be like, nah, I'm gonna be an act. No, I want to study, I want to train. So I was in everybody's acting class. Greg Allen Williams, Victor Love. I even went to Tasha Smith. I did a drop in with her. So just training, training, training. And then I was like, let me do all the plays that I can. So at one point I was in 2 stage plays at the same time,
Mm.
running at the same time. So I was like, I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. but it was like, that's how bad I wanted it. And I knew that this is what I had to do to, you know what I'm saying, to pour myself into it if I really want to get back or get the return that I'm looking for.
How was that feeling
Yeah.
for you being pushed out the nest? Because you was essentially pushed out the nest. So how was that initial feeling for you?
It was scary. Hey, I said, well, can I come back once a week and I could work for, I could just do. She was like, no. And so I didn't know. I was like, oh my God. So what am I going to do for income? What am I going to do to make money?
Mm-hmm.
And so I called my cousin immediately. I said, hey man, they're not going to renew my contract. Do you think you can like help me? He was like, hey man, I'm doing DoorDash and Uber Eats and Postmates. You can do that. And I was like, oh, okay, bet. So I started doing that. And then I was like, you know what? God, I want my source of income to come from acting. If that's, I would love to have that. And so Universe started collaborating, and somebody called me and was like, hey, have you heard of Emory University Standardized Patients? They need actors to act like they're sick or they're going through these different conditions so the doctors can learn how to be better doctors. Mm-hmm. I was like, yes, let's do that. So everything started lining up. The library started calling me. They were like, hey, we heard you do storytelling. Can you come? Can we book you for the summer to come to read stories to our children? I was like, yes. And it means back to back. Somebody said, hey, do you do dinner theater? And I was like, yes. I mean, and that's how it was just, oh man, it was serendipitous. Like God was just like, okay, that's what you want. I got you.
That's
Watch
awesome.
this.
That is awesome. Yeah. Now we got to talk about your role. It's 2 bits on Black Lightning. It's amazing, first of all, to see people of color, our people on television, and especially in that genre. We don't really get to see a lot of our Black superheroes. So that was awesome just to have that type of show. So what was that experience like for you being a part of that cast?
Man, it once again, Carlton, that was serendipitous. Like I auditioned for one role. My agent called me later on and was like, hey, you didn't get cast for that role, but they have another role that we didn't even know existed. So would you like to take that? I'm like, yes. What? And so just doing that, man, being on a set with a Black writer, a Black producer, a Black executive producer. It was just like, yo, this is us. This is us operating at our finest, right? And telling a story about a Black superhero and a Black family. I was like, man, I can't be any more blessed than this. And so just being on the set, working with Cress, working with Nafisa, working with, with everybody, Kristen, like everybody was just so beautiful, man. And then Salim and his wife Mara Brock Salim Akil and Mara Brock, they were on set as well. Mm-hmm. So they were there to give us guidance if we had questions. It was like family, man. It was like family. So I was really blessed to be a part of that project, that experience, that family. I was blessed.
What type of impact have you seen, again, because we are seeing more Black superheroes now out there, so what type of impact have you seen since doing Black Lightning?
Oh, man. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, because around the same time Black Lightning had entered the stage, Black Panther was also coming into the, so it was like, oh, wait a minute. We have Black superheroes. And so children were able to say, oh, wait a minute. It's not just Superman. It's not just Batman. We have people who look like us who are saving the world, who are transforming, making these huge changes and who have superpowers. So that right there, I think that was the epitome of what we are capable of. And it showed It showed everybody. It showed everybody, not just black people. They were like, okay, wait a minute. Y'all can make money overseas. Like, people want to see you all in these spaces. So now it's giving other creators opportunities to say, oh, wait, we have more stories to tell. Guess what? We have more stories to tell. And now we're seeing that more than ever. And it's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful, beautiful time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we also saw you on Wu-Tang and American Saga. How was that experience? 'Cause, you know, a lot of people love Wu-Tang. So, like, how was that experience being a part of that series?
Man, so I'm not gonna lie to you. So being a hip hop kid, and also being in a rap group, Wu-Tang was one of the groups that we were like, oh man, they're doing their own thing. They got their own style, and it's a group. It's a huge group. So we knew that, okay, there's a possibility for us to be a group and to be successful, right? So even that opportunity presented itself to me, once again, serendipitous. My now girlfriend, she told me about that role. She saw it on Actors Access, which is a database that we use as actors. But she saw it. I didn't see it. She saw it. She told me about it. She said, your manager should submit you for this. Manager submits me. I put up the tape. She records. She takes my audition. We went all the way in. We went fully in. And then, booking the role. The RZA called me. I was like, what?
Wow.
The RZA from the Wu-Tang. He called. I'm like, what? So he calls me and he tells me that this person was real. And he didn't say a lot, but when he spoke, we listened. And, but he was very dark and we didn't know why. So I want you to bring that out. And I was like, yes, sir, I will. And thank you. I thanked them. And so when I got to set, just working with that phenomenal cast, man, I mean, Ashton Sanders, my boy Janelle, just everybody, man. It was truly an amazing experience. And I will say this, I got to see Method Man, and I told him, I was like, hey man, I listened to y'all when I was young. He was like, man, I'm not old, so you making me seem like I'm like, no. I know you're not old. No. I'm just saying, we grew up on your music. Y'all's music influenced us. And he was like, yo, peace. That's respect. So I was able to talk to the RZA, talk to Method Man, some my idols. These guys are my idols, and I'm able to talk to them. And then also, like, just collaborating with some brilliant, like Alex C, one of the co-producers, and the RZA, man, they were incredible to work with. And the RZA was on set several days, and it was great to have his energy on set. And then watching some of the performances, like TJ Adams, man, when he was Old Dirty Bastard, I was watching Old Dirty, like, he would not come out of character. He was in character the whole time. So I'm like, whoa, that's beautiful to watch. And then knowing that one of the guy who played Ghostface Killer, he's a Harvard grad. Well, not Harvard, I'm sorry. He went to Yale. I mean, this guy, like, just a master at his craft. And I'm like, man, this is beautiful. And then the great Erica Alexander, just watching her, I was like, man, this is a blessing, man. So I was just blessed to be able to be a part of, once again, history. Wu-Tang, that's probably one of the greatest rap groups alive. And so just being a part of their story was like, I couldn't ask for this. I could not make this up. So, man, I was truly blessed to be a part of that story as well.
Absolutely. Is there any pressure knowing that you're playing someone that actually existed versus you playing a fictional character?
Woo! Lots of pressure. Unfortunately, the brother who I played, he transitioned, so he was no longer with us. But I believe that there's a responsibility to not only to that person, but to that person's family. So, that comes into play. And so I wasn't able to talk to either him, none of his family, but just knowing that, hey, you know what, I don't want to negate the fact that this person was real. Right. And so they lived a real life. So I wanted to be as honorable as I could in the portrayal of this individual. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And they had to change the name for purposes of
Right.
so his name wasn't Cressy.
Right. Understandable, definitely, for sure. So this brings us here to BMF, which you are currently on. Let's talk about that. So when you first got the call about BMF, because again, 50 Cent, he's the producer of all these shows. We have all these great creatives and all these great writers and directors, but BMF is also part of the umbrella. So when you got the call for that, how was that for you? Like, what was that like?
Wow. So what I'm telling people is that never dismiss the humble beginnings. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Never dismiss. Every opportunity is a blessing. So once again, I auditioned for one role. My agent called me and was like, "You didn't get cast as this role. They cast you for another role." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And so I get the script and I see the name of the writer on the script. I'm like, Shaquela. Oh my God, Shaquela Mims. So lo and behold, me and Shaquela had a conversation 4 years prior at a dinner. And before she was going to move to LA, she was like, "Hey man, I really want to work with you one day. We're going to work together one day." And I was like, "Yes, we are. I love your work. Ashe." And so it is. So that's what's going to happen. When I see that her name, I'm like, "Yo, Shaquela, your name is on the script." She was like, "Oh, bro, you have no idea. I had this character. You were in mind when I wrote this character. I had you in mind." And I was like, "Oh my God." So she was like, "Listen, do what I know you can do. Bring what I know you can bring." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am. It's done. I owe you." She said, "No, you don't owe me anything. Just do the work." And I was like, bam. So that was how I got ushered into this role as Remy Ransom, right? And then just being on set with Da Vinci, with Meech, with McCole. Oh man. I mean, just it just truly a blessing to watch, these true like legends. And when I say legends, I'm talking about McCole White and Russell Hornsby. Just watching them as they craft their characters, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I'm like, okay, I really got to bring what I know I can bring. And so it was just great to go toe to toe with Meech in scenes, man. We've been going toe to toe with each other, man. So season 3, it's about to be toe to toe again. Like it's going head on, and just knowing that, this story, man. I'm from Atlanta, so just knowing that when I was in high school, we would see billboards that said BMF, the world is yours. I'm like, who is BMF? And then we would go to the clubs and we would see all these cars, these nice cars pull up. These guys come out. I'm like, who are they? That's BMF. So now I get to be a part of telling their story that I was a part of anyway growing up. So I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. It's truly, and once not crazy, it's truly serendipitous and it's divinely aligned. So I think that I was chosen to be in this space, in this moment, you know what I'm saying, in time. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of it. All of it.
Absolutely. If anybody who hasn't seen the show, not sure how you couldn't watch because it's all over the place. Can you please tell us about your character?
So my character, his name is Remy Ransom. Once again, this is a name they had to make this up because they didn't want to,
right.
So essentially, Remy Ransom, he is one of the leaders of a community called Techwood Homes. And Techwood Homes is a real place in Atlanta. It's a project, right? So he's pretty much the leader of that hood, and where, he's in one instance, he's selling drugs, he's doing what he got to do to hustle. And then on the other instance, he's also wanting to see the community like do better. He wants to see the kids go to school, so it's kind of like this, it's in a weird way, this like dichotomy, like a Robin Hood, but at the same time, you're poisoning the community. So it's really interesting to see who he is and how he moves, right? And so this story is going to explore how he came to be who he is, and then how he interacts and how he has beef with Meech, because Meech, they're coming from Detroit. And so he's like, y'all coming to my hood, my city, and y'all trying to take over what not not if I have nothing to do with it. So that's where the beef happens.
Got you. And season 3 does start on March 1st. So we're definitely excited about that. Why should people tune in? Why should we be excited about this new season?
Man, this season is gonna, once again, it's gonna explore the depths of what the depths of the world that these two, I say these guys were geniuses with regard to like how they decided to create a business and an operation, and how they managed it and how they were looking out for their people, right? So it's going to explore deeper into why they were doing what they were doing and some of the decisions that they made. So it's almost like a cautionary tale. Like, listen, if you get into this world, just know that these are some of the things that you may be coming up against. So I think that's important too for our young people to know that, hey, you might see it as glamorous, but there's some things that are not pretty, and it's going to show all the pretty and the not so pretty.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for people who want to get into this business, again, you've been doing this for a while. You had a lot of things, happening for you, which is great. So congratulations again on that. So for people who want to get into this business, want to get into acting, what words of advice could you give someone?
Wow. I think the most important thing, Carlton, I tell young people, or I tell people who are, just starting, man, I say, know your why. If you're doing this to be famous, you could be famous doing anything else. You could be famous doing some other things. But if you want to do this because you love storytelling and you love to walk into another person's shoes, get the training. If you train, I promise I'm going to continue to train and to study the craft of acting until the day I die. As a performer, as an artist, right? So always stay training. If you can't afford training, you can go online. You can read a script. Reading is free. So I tell people, read a script, read a play, read a movie. You know what I'm saying? So just do whatever you can to do to prepare yourself to be a journeyman, because this thing is a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It is a marathon. So if you're going to do it, know that you're going to be in it for the long haul. And the only time you'll lose is if you quit. So if you're going to do this, just know there's some highs and there's going to be some lows. And don't stop. Don't stop if you really want to do this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that, Jason. We definitely appreciate it. Now, if people want to follow your journey and continue to keep up what you got going on, how can they do so?
So I'm learning to be more savvy on social media. My manager, my publicist, they advised me to be a little bit more savvy. So I'm on Instagram at Jason.Louder. And I'm on Facebook at Jason Louder, and Twitter. Oh God, it's not even called Twitter.
X.
It's X. Yeah. I'm on X. See, I'm learning. It's just Jason C. Louder. So I'm also doing some skits, some fun skits on Country Wayne. I'm doing some pretty cool skits with Country Wayne, with Mike Bless, and D from the South Side. And I'm also working on some independent stuff myself. So creating my own content. And that's what I would tell some young people as well. Create your own content. You don't have to wait on nobody to tell you, because we're in an age of technology where we can create our own content. So just get your phone and create your own content.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. Some great advice. Thank you so much for that, Jason. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to talk with us here on Celebrating Black Excellence. We definitely appreciate you. And again, congratulations on everything you got going on.
Ashe. Thank you all.
No problem. All right, everyone. I am Carlton T. Clay. This is Celebrate Black Excellence. We celebrate Black excellence every day. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.